a guy that looks like he's been having a lot of fun so far as well. We had him on earlier in the year and before the season started, and he was really pumped up for the season. It looks like he's true to his word, because it looks like he's having a great time there out in New York, playing for Rugby New York. It is time to bring on friend of the show, Andrew Coe. Hey.
Friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod coming on. Before we break down round 5, I mean, we talked about how it was a high scoring round 5. There was no shortage of points anywhere. Hey, you had a little bit to do with that, Coe, scoring two tries of your own there, man. How was that match against New England there? It looked like you put a little statement there after getting called back on a try the week before.
Yeah, no, it was fun. There were 3 other Canadian guys playing on New England, so it was nice to see those boys. Foster DeWitt played UBC with him. Josh Larson, Regan O'Gorman, I played age grade with. So that's part of the appeal to MLR, is playing against these guys that I normally play with and I'm buddies with. Plus, there's the Boston New York rivalry, so not much gets better than that.
Yeah, Boston New Jersey rivalry.
No comment.
No comment. Can't comment on that.
No comment. Coe, I mean, I think the biggest thing for me, man, watching you play this past week is, man, I think we've all gotten to see you for a long time be really successful in the 7 circuit, but seeing you being able to now kind of show your skills here in the 15s realm, it's been a lot of fun to watch. Do you enjoy being back playing 15s? I mean, it's been a while since I think you've been playing, high performance 15s. We've known you went to the Olympics. You represented Canada there with 7s. Feel good to be back there out on the wing, scoring tries there.
Definitely. It's been the first couple weeks coming back into a 15s environment is, I was like a chicken with my head cut off. I didn't really know where I was doing, what I was going, like what I was doing. But, as the weeks go on, I feel way more comfortable with the style of play that we're playing, with the players that I'm playing with. Similar to Matty knows at UBC, like you get that cohesion going with the team, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, no, it's having played both 7s and 15s, there's definitely differences where, you kind of have to adjust. But I think, from a conditioning standpoint, though, you got to be up there, though. I know from a nuance, like from a game style standpoint, it might take some time to adjust. But man, it looks like even in the 80th minute, you're still flying out there. I think you haven't been subbed out once, right? So I think you've been able to survive at least from the conditioning standpoint out there. So I don't think
conditioning's all good there.
Moving from the 14 to
get some Oreos in me. Maybe I can bring that conditioning down. Maybe I get a little bit of leeway.
Yeah, we'll see there. One thing I do want to bring up, but just about your time before I let these boys ask you some questions that I know that they have for you. Based on the fun part of you having fun out there in Rugby New York, I had to show the people this picture here.
Yes.
I got to bring up this picture that we found on Instagram. Dude, album picture, dude. It looks like you're having a damn good time out there, man. This is perfect with Emery and Pago Haini. It sounds like you're fitting right in with the boys there in Rugby New York.
Yeah, I'm loving the boys. They're unbelievable, but Pago always knows where the camera is. Anytime he's on the field, the guy always knows. I'm sitting in the ruck, and he taps me on the shoulder and goes, "Hey, bud, look up." And I look up. There's the camera, and we just pose for a picture, and look at that. That's a good looking photo. I'm sending that to my mom.
I must say, I think Rugby New York's kit is one of the nicer looking kits in the MLR. So I think, the whole thing there, it's absolutely perfect. So yeah, I would be sending that to mom as well, Coe, if I had a picture that looked like that too. So I had to show that to the people. And for those of you who are listening, go hop onto Rugby New York's Instagram page. Nice little picture of Coe and the boys there. A nice little album-esque picture that's pretty good. That I think everyone got a good kick out of. But yeah.
Stash too.
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah,
just like yours,
so
dude. Just like yours, man.
Hey, well, don't compare the two.
Yeah, because yours is better, right?
No, mine's red. That's the problem.
There we go. But man, Coe, like let's just talk about, I think, your experience. I think about a third way through the season. How are you feeling? I know it's like you mentioned, it's a different season than the 7 circuit. Body's holding up. How are you doing now a third way through? Like I said, you've scored 3 tries, so you got to be doing something right.
No, it's been good. This is the first time I've been in a week in, week out season since I was playing at UBC, and this level, no offense, Maddie, but this level is quite a bit higher than UBC.
Shots fired. No.
I know.
But no, it's been a ton of fun. I'm really starting to get my bearings into things. Going into it, I would think that, the travel, like I get to go travel the US. It's going to be so much fun. I'm going to go out in every city. I'm going to party my brains out. And then come down to it, that does not happen. I'm so tired by the end of the day. I could not wait for this home opener, so I didn't have to travel. I could stay in my own bed. So yeah, it's been a ton of fun so far. The crowd's been amazing. The boys have been amazing. I have no ill wills against anything.
I know Maddie has something to say about that home opener that he's been meaning to ask you. We've been talking about this since the match this past weekend.
Yeah, well, first of all, I first want to ask, how is it playing in front of a home New York crowd, and then just to follow that up, which field do you think is better, the Bill Crothers Secondary School high school turf field with the track around it, or the Hoboken middle school field with the track around it?
I just want to say our fans are great.
Diplomatic. Okay. You know what? That was a test for you, Coe. I think since episode number 2, you've been diplomatic about this. Matt had to throw in the shot there. I don't know. I'll just leave it at this.
I'm just trying to get some good stuff for the public here. Just trying to get.
I get it.
I'm just saying. I'll just leave it at this. And I think a lot of people had this on their minds. It is very interesting to see
somebody playing tennis in the background.
You stop. It's interesting to see the 2 biggest cities in the MLR have, I guess, the 2 biggest contrasting stadiums. We'll just leave it at that. But it was funny to see, the different areas, because there are some teams that are making some big steps moving forward. But regardless, though,
the thing with New York is you lack a lot of space.
Yeah.
There's no, it's either this or MetLife Stadium. There's not many fields where you can host events like that. So it's either top of the, MetLife or Red Bull or whatever that is, or it's, Hoboken.
Well, the nice thing is you guys packed it. Like, you guys packed the stands right up to the front, and that looks way cooler than LA Coliseum when, there's, I don't know, like, it looks like it's empty, but even though there's, 1,000 or 2,000 people there, whereas I think you guys sold over 1,000 tickets and it looks packed.
Yeah, so the stadium was completely packed. Then there was a balcony overlooking. I don't know if you guys saw a video.
Okay, I didn't see that.
So
they were so rowdy. It was unbelievable.
I have something to say about the overlooking buildings. I will say this, and I do agree with you, Coe. Having lived in New York, that is the big thing, is the space. And that's a good point, that there really isn't an in-between stadium. And to Matthew's point, it looks way better, definitely from a television product, to fill out a 1,000 person venue than what the Giltini sometimes look like when you're playing at LA Coliseum. Yeah, it's really cool and it's a spectacle to see, but when you're only filling 1,000 seats out of a 90,000 person stadium, it's kind of like a trade-off, you know what I mean, between looking really packed and getting that vibe and getting that excitement, getting that atmosphere versus, the big name venue. That is a point. But I will say about those buildings at that game. So I'm not sure if you have rewatched the broadcast, but they had the sideline reporter. I forget who it was, but she gave a shout out to the crowd that was up there on some of those buildings.
That's where I picked
but
up on it.
she might have went a little step too far because there was one point where they call her out on the sign like, oh yeah, how's the atmosphere here in Hoboken? And he's like, oh, it's great. You know, these people up on the balcony, it's really giving me Chicago Wrigley Field vibes. And I'm like, okay, all right.
I don't know about that.
You know, I get the good vibes, but I don't know. The Wrigley Field vibe might be pushing it just a little bit. But mind you, that's a good point though. I think it's been interesting to see how all these teams have been navigating these home fields, because it is a challenge in each individual location. Like you mentioned, it's way easier to find venues in Texas where they have sports stadiums everywhere, as opposed to New York, who has a very limited amount of sports stadiums. So it is interesting to see that. But yeah, I mean, you guys are packing out stadiums. Utah is packing out stadiums. It's Dallas a couple weeks ago. They had a really big crowd out there. So wherever you guys are playing, it seems like you're drawing out a crowd, which is a positive sign to see.
An absolute vibe at most places where we go. Like especially if rugby's a sport where pretty much, you know, you're having beers, you're having a good time. You know, it's not like soccer where it's very, you know, you clash heads with opposing fans. Like everyone's just trying to enjoy the sport, enjoy the spectacle, have a couple beers, get a little loose, yell some things. It's all good.
Sounds like a darts match.
Pretty much.
Well, I think
I'm not even joking.
I think
I mean, match is the best.
I think also though, guys, that it's also that's how we're going to draw more fans. I mean, you're looking at a lot of these people, you know, when they go in the crowd. I know AG does a really good job at this. I forget who is their like in-house entertainment guy. I think it's like Noxie or something, where I don't know if you've seen their broadcast, but he's a really wacky dude that goes in the crowds and he interviews the fans. And you notice that a lot of these fans are not necessarily like rugby fans. They're just there for the experience of, you know, like you're saying, Coe, like going out, drinking beers, watching rugby, you know, being on the sideline and seeing, you know, like you're right there. It's a different type of atmosphere than going to a different type of professional game. So yeah, it's about, I think, making the entire experience kind of enjoyable for both the casual rugby fan, the new rugby fan, and the experienced rugby fan. So I think the MLR, at least in that standpoint, has done a pretty good job. But wrapping up, I guess the discussion on stadiums, we'll move on to kind of how you feel the MLR has been going in general, with you been seeing the leagues, Coe, and also I guess from a fantasy perspective too. But out of the stadiums that you've played at, now that you've ended your road stretch here and returned home this past week, what's been the coolest stadium to play at so far? I forget where have you been? You've been at Houston, you've been
Houston, Atlanta, Dallas.
Okay, so out of
and then
those
we had
three,
a preseason game in Austin as well.
Atlanta looks pretty cool. Houston looks
Atlanta
cool. I mean,
really
they all have their own little unique little touches, I feel like.
Yeah, that's the thing. They were all amazing. Houston was great because it's their own stadium. Everything was branded. It looked awesome. But it was an absolute wind tunnel there, so it wasn't that fun of a game to play in or to watch.
We noticed.
Atlanta, Atlanta was awesome because it was kind of in this sunken valley, and the fans were great. They were heckling, they were yelling out some stuff that I can't repeat on air, and that's awesome to see, like the fans get into it. And then Dallas play at the old Texas Rangers baseball stadium. So that was unbelievably cool, and they put on such a great show, especially for a first-year team. They had everything just dialed and in place. Their aftermatch food was the best aftermatch.
That's what matters, right?
That's the best part about it.
God. We finish up, go upstairs into the clubhouse. They hand you a beer ticket, so you go get a beer, and then it's a long line. You got brisket, you got mac and cheese, you got butter buns, you got nachos, you got pulled chicken, you got cookies. Oh my God.
That's just that southern, the southern hospitality, man. They're just treating you well, dude.
Unbelievable. They put on a good show in Dallas.
So that's cool, man. I don't know. It's cool to see the insight of how they kind of treat the players each different game. But hey, that's good to hear, man. I'm glad to hear that you're getting fed well, man. Maybe that's why you're out there doing so well, right? Because you're eating the
only reason why I play.
Yeah,
There you
exactly.
go.
For
After the game,
the, for the
only
food, the post-match beer, the post-match beer tickets and the brisket. That's all that
Exactly.
matters, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
fantasy related question. Now that we're moving off of stadiums a little, have you thought at all while you're playing, like, maybe scoring a try and going like, oh yeah, that's 5 points for rugby morning, or that's 5 points for me in the books for fantasy kind of thing? Like, has that even crossed your mind now that in the back of your head that somebody's keeping score, like Ryan's going to be tallying these points up?
Not really, no. If I'm
we're
being
nothing.
honest,
We don't mean anything. It doesn't
not
matter.
in the game, not in the game. But
I know.
I think
will.
it was yesterday or something. I was thinking like, oh, I scored from half on one of mine or something like that. I'm like, that's a decent amount of points for rugby morning. But
There we
honestly, I don't want to. I can't remember what all the points were for and how you tally everything up. So if you want to give me a recap, so maybe next week I can focus on some,
you
making more
make
tackles
sure
or
that what
We'll
you're
just
doing.
put it this way: you balled out.
Yeah, you did
go.
really well, Co. I mean, I will say, man, I completely get why during a game when you're running, when you were catching that Sam Windsor kick, you weren't really thinking about, oh crap, this is going to be 5 fantasy points. I
No,
better
he was
catch
just
this
thinking
ball.
about trying to
Yeah,
stay
if you
on
would have
side.
said yes,
During that whole kick, all
If
I
you
was
would've-
thinking was stay on side. Because
Yeah.
last week I was off side. I was like,
There
I
we
can't
go.
have it happen twice in a row.
But I will say, man, it has been cool to see your interest in, because you shot me text. Oh man, like how are the points working out and all these things, and it's cool to see that there is interest in there, because I think if you're interested, why not other MLR players too can get interested in as well, and fans too. It's cool to have that kind of engagement from a player that actually plays within the league. So it is pretty sweet, but. Yeah, man, let's talk about a fantasy perspective since Matthew has brought it up. Let's move on to there. If you had to guess, okay, Co, if you had to guess where you sit in the rankings right now, out of every single player. So let me tell you, I've had to stat out every single player basically that has suited up, which is freaking nuts. But I've statted out every single player who's played a single minute in this league, and that is over 416 players. Okay, that's how many players have suited up for a team in the MLR this season so far. Out of those players, and now after this past week's performance, where do you think you sit in these rankings? Total points.
Total points.
If you don't have to guess exact, give me a range. Like, do you think you're in the
think
top
I'm
100,
hopefully
top 50?
Top 50 would be sweet.
Oh, you're a bit high there, bud.
Too high?
Hot? You think?
You can even shorten that down. Maybe go.
I don't
top
know, man.
25.
I think, Co, man, you need to have a little bit more confidence, man. I don't know.
I
Two
don't know.
tries this
I just
past
told you
week.
I'm not entirely sure what the point systems are. Try, scored, from distance.
I
not
don't
a
know,
kicker.
man. I think you got to be a little more. But here, let me reveal to the people.
Okay.
I think this and Vandy and Matt, you guys got to help me out here. I think this deserves a little round of applause, because since I think the last time we spoke to you, Co, was before the season starts. So there are high hopes for you heading into this season. We were trying to figure out who's going to draft you and all this stuff. And then your first show back in your return, Co, you break the top 10. You're number 10. Let's go. Let's go. Andrew Coe, number 10 on the season with 27.9 fantasy points so far. That's pretty good, man.
Hey, no
that's
surprise
not
there.
too bad. You are the second or third lowest drafted player out of the top 10.
Am I really?
Yeah,
You're a
so
sleeper.
ahead of you
What round
is
did I go in?
you went in the 12th round. You were the 6th pick in the 12th round. And of course you were picked by Rugby Morning.
Yeah, I couldn't take the pressure personally to pick a celebration and get
He did well.
suspended,
So this was the funny thing.
Yeah.
This was the funny thing, Co, was that when I texted you last week, I'm like, hey man, like, can you come on the show? And fair enough. I would allow any person to miss a show if they're going to go see a Raptors game, especially when it's against the Nets. And I believe, did they get the dub? I can't remember.
Oh,
Regardless,
yeah, they crushed them.
big dub against the Nets. But regardless, on that night, the same night we were recording, we got Rugby Morning on the show, and I wanted to surprise him and bring you on at the same time. But unfortunately, we weren't able to do that. But he was saying that he was determined to draft you. He went into the draft saying it wasn't a matter of like if he was going to draft you. It was a matter of when he was going to draft you. So
I messaged Ryan literally that pick, and I'm like, I'm taking Coe here.
Yeah, and then Rugby Morning picked him. So you went 12th round, 6th pick, and you're sitting at number 10, man. You're only sitting behind. So Bowden, I mean, you saw him firsthand this past week. Bowden Waka, he's absolutely crushing it this season so far.
Lights out.
Dude, he's at 68 total fantasy points. The next player is Riekert Hadding of Seattle. They're 8-man there, 37.5 fantasy points. So like the 30-point drop from Bowden Waka to the next guy, just because
That's
like this past week he put up 30 points, man. He scored 3 tries. I mean, you knew. I don't need to repeat it to you, but
I've seen the film. I've seen the film.
You got front row seats for it, Ryan.
But so behind you, so just ahead of you, so Waka's number 1, Riekert Hadding is number 2. Your teammate Ed Fido is still riding off of that big performance, I believe, in round 2. He's there at number 3. And then we got Connor Mooneyham, AJ Alatimu, Joe Peterson, Julian Dominguez, Carl Meyer, and then Yaquin de la Vega Mendia, and then you. So you're in the top 10 though, man. That's good stuff, dude.
I would have thought it would have been straight kickers would be top 10.
I would say,
you know, you could be top 5 if you start putting your foot on the boot.
Just there we go.
So in Dallas, Sam went off, then Jack started cramping up when he scored, and I'm looking around, I'm thinking, this could be my moment here.
Oh no.
But Andy Ellis just grabbed the ball and started lining it up, and who am I to just be like, nah, Andy, listen, buddy, I got it.
Oh man, that would have been, I would have loved that. You should have been, let me take this. I got this.
Yeah, I got this one.
Ridiculous.
I got this one all black. I got it.
Yeah, no kidding, right? That's hilarious. But no, in the top 10, let me see here. 5 of the top 10 are kickers. So kind of an even balance there. So interesting enough. But hey, you'll get to see your name there on that list when that gets released later this week, man. So there we go. That's pretty good stuff. We'll hopefully you keep on riding up the ranks there. But pretty impressive, number 10, man. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Yeah. So before we let you go here, Coe, though, I do want to get your opinion, and I think Matt has some other questions to add here as well. Your experience, I think, with playing with some of these really, high performers. I mean, you mentioned Andy Ellis, you mentioned Sam Windsor, who's had obviously a lot of experience in the MLR and beyond and things like that. Andy Ellis overseas as well, with just all of the accolades that he has. Now we talked about it at the beginning in episode 2 when we talked to you before the start of the season about your conversation with these guys and how helpful they've been. But now that you've been, I guess, a third way through the season, building that bond with them, especially those guys that have so much rugby experience, has it been a cool experience you doing? I mean, it looks like you have a great bond with some of them on the field already. I mean, I see you doing some coordinated try celebrations. I see Sam Windsor now. He's spotting you, man. That's 2 weeks in a row where
I know.
He's trying to dodge you from that spot. So it seems like you guys got the chemistry going, and it seems like they've, in a way, seems like taking you under your wing, you still being a young guy and them having that type of experience.
Yeah, I'm really trying to learn as much as I can from all these guys, like Andy, Sam, like Jace Emery, who's an unbelievable player. Brendan O'Connor was Blues Player of the Year. He's played a ton of Super Rugby. All these guys are Ed Fidow, recognizable names in rugby, and I'm just trying to learn as much as I can from them and definitely listen whenever they're talking. But
I know Matt as really I know Matt as the Sam Windsor owner. He has a request, I think, for you, Coe, that he'd like for you and him to kind of partner up here.
Yeah, just keep letting him kick your cross field kick tries. Maybe have some set piece plays between you two. Have him set you up, and maybe
how often
ask
you practicing
to
a week?
Run a support line or two when you break the line, because I've been noticing he just kind of dishes it off and drops back and just enjoys watching you boys go to work. So.
As all good experienced players do. It's funny thing, Ryan. I think it was I forget whether it was against Houston or whether it was against Austin. I went up to it and I'm like, anytime you want a crossfield kick, I'm there. I said something like that. We haven't practiced it in practice once in the games. Yeah, in the games, it just worked out that way.
That's all he needed. He just needed you to give him the green light. Hey, I'm there for you. I'll be running as fast as I can.
He
Even
just
if
expects you to know the green light.
Exactly.
even if I'm offside a couple times, I'm gonna be running. I'll be there for you. Don't worry. So
There's gonna be one time where he's just gonna throw a crossfield kick in, and I'm gonna be nowhere near it, and he's just gonna be like, "What's going on?"
He just shoots you those daggers across the field.
Yeah, exactly.
Get
He's gonna
out
tell
of
you to
here.
run faster.
That's funny. But no, I must say, Coe, it's been a blast to watch you kind of play. You know, you guys have been having a terrific season so far. Tough result against New England. I do think that you guys were the better squad out there. Just some lucky breaks I feel like that New England had that just kind of pushed them over the edge there, especially kind of towards the later part of the game. I mean, some of those walk-up tries was just right place, right time, you know what I mean? And just something that, you know, off of mistakes, those things can happen. But it seems like Rugby New York seems like a threat to be reckoned with this season, man. So it's been a blast watching you. You're doing something right now, breaking the top 10 here. I know that's the biggest takeaway out of this whole thing. It's just that, all right, top 10 off the checklist. Now it's top 5. But I know
way more important to me than actually winning rugby games.
Yeah.
Is I need to be in the top 10.
There we go.
Fantasy Ruckers.
Hey, they're pretty correlated. You know what I mean? If you're
it.
scoring tries, you're winning rugby games.
There we
There
go.
we go. See, there we go.
Well,
the
except
Fantasy
last week,
Ruckers are doing well, Coe. That means Rugby New York is doing well. So, you know, it's just, it's a trade-off there. We'll take it. Well, your successes are our successes. So I love it. But yeah, man, it's been a lot of fun. Keep on doing you, man. You know, we wish you the best for the rest of the season. And hopefully we can have you on again here and do another little check-in maybe halfway through the season to see how things are going and see your name rise through the fantasy ranks as the season goes on here, man. But we appreciate you taking the time. And I will say, I need to add this at the end here before you go. Rugby Morning is also very appreciative of what you've done, being able to set some pretty historic weeks for him these past couple of weeks. So a lot of his success too, I guess, is based off of your success. So everyone feeding off the Coe bandwagon, man. The top 10 Coe bandwagon.
All my dogs eat.
There we go.
There we go. I love it. So keep that mindset up. I'm sure all the boys here will appreciate it, man. But thanks, Coe. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon, dude.
Hey, good luck against San Diego this weekend. And don't let Mike Smith bully you.
Never. That guy couldn't bully a fly.
There we go. All right. See you, Coe, man.
See ya.
man.